Welcome to the Desperately Seeking Self podcast, the show that helps you up your confidence game so you stop settling for less than you deserve. I'm your host, Brooke Collins, speaker, life coach, women's empowerment enthusiast, and the best friend you never knew you needed. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hey, Katie Christ, welcome to the Desperately Seeking Self podcast.
Thank you so much for having me. I was really looking forward to this.
I'm super glad you're here. So you're a health coach and you help women transform their bodies and transform their thoughts really about body image and specifically their body image. Yeah.
Yes. No, it's body image has just been a passion for me for so long. It's in grad school, and then I went to undergrad and then graduate school of just studying. Okay, how do you when you feel about your specific body type, how does that influence what you feel like you can or can't do? I was led to health coaching because it's like there's been so many years of study after study after study that talk about how detrimental this is towards women specifically, but not that it's not for men, but women are just studied more. And it's like, okay, what can we start to do? What are the small habits that you can start to implement every single day that help you transform the way that you feel about your body and your confidence and your energy level?
So how did you get, so your graduate is specific studies to body image, right? Like it's like almost like a anthropological, like sociology study.
I kind of made up my own kind of area of research, but because it was in recreation, sport, and tourism, so specifically in the recreation aspect. But really understanding, okay, the recreation things that we do, like exercise, going on walks, doing yoga, or even just cooking. How my question was, how does body image influence all of that?
Wow. Okay. What did you find out?
It it influences quite a bit. So I like niched it down even more, and I was really curious with how does it influence our exercise participation. Primarily because of my own experience of, I had some poor body image, and I would try to start exercising, and I'd go and exercise quite a bit. And I was curious because it was like the more I exercised, I felt good about it. But if I didn't see any like weight come off, or I would do the whole thing of like grabbing your arm and looking at the flab, and I'd pull it back in the mirror and be like, oh, like that's what my arm is supposed to look like. Like that's a toned arm. And so it was weird to me. And I questioned this. I was like, okay, I'm working out more. And everyone says the more you work out, like the better you feel about your body. But I wasn't feeling that. And so, and then social media comes into play too, where I was following people on social media to get quote unquote inspiration to go work out, which never happens. If anybody's listening to this and you're going on social media to find motivation to work out, like please stop, because it's not doing anything for you, except for maybe motivating you in not the best way,
making you feel like crap about yourself, motivating you to eat emotionally.
Yep. So, and what was shocking, so I had that question, and then I went to grad school, and then the literature that came up around that question was like, if you do have motivation to work out, but if it's based on appearance, you're less likely to actually keep participating.
And why though? Like because of the fear of being around other people?
It's you don't create habits that are sustainable, I think. But then also like the fear of being around other people. There was a really interesting study where they measured the amount of, so they had one woman who was wearing kind of like a bodysuit that made her look a little bit heavier. And they timed out how many women would exercise near her and for how long. And then the same person went back, she took off her bodysuit, so she was significantly thinner. And there was women worked out significantly less in the presence of someone that's thinner.
Wow, really?
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, this is just one study, but it just goes to show how the way that we feel about our body, and we're socially comparing ourselves to other people, how it's the same exact person, same face. She just looked a little bit heavier the first go around, which therefore people stayed exercising. But then if you get a little bit slimmer, so if you're in the presence of someone that kind of has that ideal body, could be potentially less likely to keep participating in something that is supposedly really good for you.
That makes total sense to me, because when I don't do gyms anymore, but we have a
Yeah.
Peloton and stuff, but like
Love Peloton.
I used to not, when it's almost like reverse ism of whatever kind, body shaming ism and all this stuff, because it's like you see someone with a perfect figure and they're in their spandex or their yoga
Yeah.
pants and a sports bra, and you're like, oh my God, I'm not going to stand next to her. My ass is going to look so huge on a treadmill next to her, or in the kickboxing class and there's a row of
Yeah.
people behind me. Like, I am not positioning myself to be next to this. She's perfect. But now that you brought that to my attention, like, that probably makes them super self-conscious about their own bodies too.
100%. I mean, I think just even being in like the gym culture, it's all about appearance, and it's all about, you have mirrors everywhere. So no matter if you're thin or not, like, you're focused on your appearance. So yeah, I don't know.
I don't
It's
necessarily
interesting.
I think it's interesting because of COVID. This is just obviously a new kind of thing, but I feel like gyms have lost their momentum. Like, people have figured out that for a significant amount of saving money, they can get the results at home in less time, or outside, or, for
Yeah.
the free stuff. Like, unless you're into the gym culture, which is like the trainers and talking to the trainers and like really connecting with the community of people that are there. I mean, I've seen the trend of like people just bailing on their memberships.
Yeah, yeah, which I have too. I feel like I've seen both on both ends, because people do really thrive in that support and accountability, and like having the friend that's going to be there at the gym, and you're like, okay, I need to go. I think the beauty of COVID and having the gym shut down and having to understand, okay, hey, like, what activities can I do at home and that I actually like to do at home?
Right.
I think that it takes away the whole, like, you have to understand, how do you self motivate yourself? And I think if you can do that, it's beautiful, where you can see the bigger results, or actually the consistency, because you don't have the excuse of, oh, I don't have time to run to the gym. Like, no, it's just do 20 minutes at home. But yeah, I don't know. I'm curious to see, in terms of like how people feel about the way that they look, how that's going to be influenced by, like, you're not going to a place where you have to be around people and people have to look at you. Like, you can work out at home. I don't know.
Interesting. So when you study that body image affects people in aspects, and obviously in the working out arena, when you
Yeah.
said like if they don't have motivation to work out, like at the very beginning, so I'm backtracking a smidge, but like, do you mean like if you're not having motivation even to do something by yourself at home, like what's the like severity level of body image impacting their ability to get motivated to do things?
It significantly has been shown to like influence one, either you're less likely to like continue kind of creating that consistency, or so there's two different types of motivation that I studied. So one is that appearance based motivation, and so that's what we were just talking about, of like, you want to lose weight, you want to tone your body, you want to look sexy, like very appearance based, which is the diet culture wrapped up into a tiny little box,
Yeah,
like,
which we're
to a T.
conditioned, like the vanity of it
Yes.
all. Yeah.
Yeah. So that, if you have appearance based motivation, you might have motivation right away, because you're like, okay, like, as long as I can just do this, it's January, like, we're good to go, we're gonna go, and I'm gonna see these results. But they don't happen as quickly as we think it's gonna happen. That 90-day before and after insanity work, like, doesn't happen normally.
Insanity. Stop the
And
insanity.
right. And so we're less likely to, because we don't see those results, or even if you do see the results, we're less likely to feel positive about our body image. And then that has led to poor wellness behavior, like not exercising, not sleeping, shaming your body. So you could lose the weight, but if it's based on appearance, studies have shown that you're actually less likely to kind of be consistent in that, and you're actually going to have worsened wellness behavior because of that. Versus, on the other hand, if you have a very functional based motivation. So functional based as in you're participating in exercise because it gives you joy or it gives you kind of the energy. Very much like, so it's not like you say, I'm going to work out this morning because I want to be energetic for the day. Because I know that when I get my workout in the morning, I'm good to go. I feel happier. So that, if you do that, the studies just consistently show how much more likely you are to be consistent in your behavior. And like it leads to just kind of like a compounding effect. And it increases your positive body image as well. It's a long-winded response to a simple question, but.
No, I like it. Because I often, so as a, hopefully recovered, but for today recovered, yo-yo dieter my whole life. Like I had lost weight, for vanity reasons. And I can attest to the fact that when I was like a size 8, like I did not see a size 8 person at all. I always thought I was too fat still. I had to lose more weight. I wouldn't say it was body dysphoria per se. I would say it was more, I didn't deal with the other aspect of it, the body image and the thought process that goes into it and the wellness. I like that you said that because that's like a piece of a puzzle that's missing. If I exercise today or I focus on movement today, it's for my health and my wellness, like my mental health, my cardio health, like, like anything like stretching, just flexibility. I utilize it for wellness as opposed to, God, I really want to be in my size today. It would be like 10s because I teeter between like a 10 and a 12. But like, when I focus on the size and when I focus on the number on the scale, it's like, one, I hate myself more. And two, I get mad at myself and my body for not like, I've really cut the calories. I'm moving more, but I'm eating like the right things, like high fiber. And then like my body like locks up, like it doesn't even, at 40, like it doesn't, nothing happens. So I have to release those thoughts. And then when I'm able to do that, and it takes time. But then once I do it, all of a sudden I'm not focused on it. And like, oh, look at that. My bicep looks stronger. Oh, look at that. Like I'm able to do 30 push-ups instead of 20. Like there's like little things that like all of a sudden I wasn't able to do because I was fixated solely on a scale and my jean size.
Well, and think about it too, also, like if you're just focused on the scale and the jean size, and there's a lot of stress that comes around with that and self-hatred and self-shame, those are activating the stress response in your body. So physically, your body is stressed out. And so, and it's physically impossible to lose any weight when you are in a stressed out state. Like we've seen that with studies of like, you need to be in a relaxed state to actively just kind of everything functioning in your body to be like productive and to optimize and your metabolism to be working correctly. So that's another aspect of just like, if there is a whole bunch of just self-shaming thought, like you're putting your body and your mind and your health into a stressed state. And so it's like, it's physically impossible to lose weight when you are in a stressed out situation.
Well, yeah. But people think that that's bullshit. I'm like, that's what I think is funny is people are they listen to the stupid infomercial or the ads that they see like on social media and they like think that it's bullshit and it's not like in any way, shape or form. I mean, it is a real thing.
Well, and I was actually just talking to a dietitian this morning about that too. And it's just because she was even getting frustrated with the whole like counting calories all the time and just being so rigid about food. And it does you a disservice. But it's so hard to see past it because that's all that's around us. And it's so easy to say, okay, like, let me just focus on one thing, and that's counting calories. but that's not like, it's not going to do you like, you have to do deeper work than just the counting the calories. Like you have to have an understanding, okay, of why do I feel this way about my body? What am I doing to self-sabotage myself? That's
Oh,
another
yeah.
story in and of itself. And just really understanding, okay, what is my motivation? How do I get myself to be consistent? Because consistency is what we want, not counting calories or
Right.
listening to the bullshit. And it's hard not to listen to the bullshit because that's what's been out there. And it's so easy to just be like, just do this program and you're good to go. And
yeah. And people think like that the fast track, and I'm so sick of hearing like keto diet. Like I'm so sick of it because honestly, I did keto and I liked it. I actually did it though because my husband is a TBI survivor, so he has a brain injury, fully functioning at this point. But when he eats keto, his brain actually functions better. His sleep, like they monitor his sleep with his like CPAP and stuff. Like everything functions better in his brain because of that. And that makes sense because he's prone to seizures because of his, his injury. So a medical reason for me trying to shift our family to eat that way. And I did, do well until I had the piece of cake at a birthday party. And then it was like, I couldn't get back on the train. Like I literally was like, I need sugar.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
I could not for like 3 weeks. I was like nuts about eating sugar. So I think people they underestimate the power of consistency. I think that's with a lot of things actually. But when you're consistent, this is what I tell my clients a lot with affirmations because they won't stick with the affirmations. And I'm like, you have no idea what a disservice you're doing for yourself because it busts into your subconscious thinking, which helps sort of roadblock the self-sabotaging behavior and the negative thoughts about yourself. Like you're able to penetrate those thoughts. And yeah, it may seem stupid or it may seem weird that I listen to this guy and I go to sleep a lot with his hypnosis meditations and they're like, great. I wake up feeling great. Like, so I'm like, it's not hard to do. It's the consistency of it that matters. And I feel like lately that's the message I'm getting. So it's funny because like the consistency, just stick with it, keep going. Even if it's at a snail's pace, like eventually you're going to get where you need to be.
Well, it's that whole phrase of consistency compounds. So, and it works, it can work for you or it can work against you. So if you're doing things consistently that's for you, you're going to see such a return on your investment of that time, like exponentially. But it also could be the opposite too. Like if you negatively think bad about yourself or the behaviors that you're doing, like it's gonna keep getting worse and keep getting worse. And it's like, the simple things like affirmations make a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's all about mindset. And that's the key component that I think is missing in the weight loss industry or the diet industry. Is there's nothing about changing your mindset. Because there's like, we're in the body that we're in and the way that it looks and the size that it is, like for a reason. Like it's doing something,
right?
It's doing something positive for us. It's either protecting us or it's making us feel comfortable. Like it's doing, which this was a really hard one for me to understand. It's still a process, but just like everything that we do is in service of ourselves. Like we're not trying to punish ourselves.
Right.
And so understanding like, okay, what is the positive of me keeping on this weight? Like, why am I not losing the weight? Like, what is good that's happening? And maybe that's you feel closer of a relationship with people because you guys can bond over kind of whatever, being overweight, or just have like going and getting the drinks and you don't want to ostracize yourself from your friends with being like, no, I don't want the dessert. And so understanding that I think is a huge aspect. So it's the little mindset shifts that are the biggest needle movers in my opinion.
Well, yeah. And I think it's funny because I've been a lot of people lately, like in my Facebook feed, like my personal one, not my business one, but like I have people doing Noom, which I actually interviewed with Noom for a job.
Really?
Yeah, a physician. And I turned it down because I was like, no, I'm not doing this. Like, this is like not coaching. This is
Yeah.
like, I was like not on board with it. And it was like very 40 hours. Like, you're going to text and you're going
Like
to
go,
do
go,
this.
go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But also very little focus on mindset. Focus driven on calories and making sure that people are eating the calories. And some of the questions I was asking them was just like, well, I mean, as long as they're putting it in their food journal. And I'm like, no. So, no, I'm not knocking Noom. I recognize that it works for some people.
Yep.
It is a calorie focused situation, which doesn't allow you to work on the mindset piece of it, which if
Mm-hmm.
you have a negative body image, if you shame yourself because you're fat or because you're too skinny or you're too flabby or you're whatever it may be, the calorie counting isn't going to stop that.
Yeah.
So the
100%.
other thing that I was going to ask you about is the other thing I'm seeing now, like wildfire all of a sudden, is this Optavia. Have you heard of this?
No, actually, yes, I have. I need to pull it up though. Cause I know.
It's like wild in the past like 3 weeks. All of a
Yeah.
sudden, like I have a friend who has lost like 30 pounds in a month.
Holy
And
crap.
I mean, she was heavier. Let me put it that she was heavier to begin with. But like to me, and she says that they work on her mindset and she's like, I'm getting rid of my stinking thinking. But like, I went to their website and I don't know. I don't
What's
know.
your opinion?
Um, it could be very beneficial, I guess, for some people, but the calorie constrictions and they give you the food. It's like a Jenny Craig, like they supply you with a lot of the stuff. Like my friend
Yeah.
drinking this hot chocolate all day long. Love hot chocolate. And I'm like, well, what's in the hot chocolate? It's obviously got an appetite suppressant in it.
Yep.
Like she's downing these hot chocolates. So I don't know. I think anything like that just rolls right into that diet culture, like here you're going to restrict calories and you're only going to eat like 700 calories a day. Well, of course, if you're 250 pounds, of course in 2 months you're going to weigh 200 pounds. But what's going to happen when you're done with Optavia? Because it's pricey. It's pricey. It's not a cheap program.
And that's where it's like, I feel like you should only ever be looking at a program because that could like, there's a couple of meal programs out there where it's like, okay, you start off with having meal supplements just so that you get an understanding of, hey, what is actually being healthy and like fueling my body feel good? What does that actually feel like? And like getting rid of the kind of the constraint of figuring it out on your own. But yeah, a program has to help you how to wean off of their products and then teach you how to do it on your own and then have the mental capacity too of, again, understanding where stress comes in, where self-sabotage comes in. And if a program isn't focusing on those things, like I would back away I would run.
Well, yeah, and to me, like Optavia then gets the you're going to sell it then you're selling for them, so it's more of like a network marketing thing, I think. But
okay,
and I like, look, I'm not knocking anyone who has had success and is feeling happy and is loving something and it's making them passionate and giving them, igniting a purpose for them. Like I am all for it. I'm not knocking either of those programs. I think that there's good and bad with everything that you do. But to me, who has struggled my whole life with jumping on Weight Watchers bandwagon, doing Metabolife when I was 18, and like, all of these things, Xantrax or I can't remember the name of it, you would take before you worked out. And then there's like low fat diet. Then there's the Atkins and then South Beach. I mean, I've done them all. So when I say like, if you find something that grooves with you, great. But you should also pay attention to what happens when you go off of the products, because it was Zenadrine. It was Zenadrine. I was in college and there was this product called Zenadrine and I would get it at GNC. And when I went off of it, I almost needed to go to the hospital from withdrawals from it. Like I was
oh my goodness.
I had been on it for like a year, like taking, it, and I don't know what happened. And I decided I didn't want to, it was expensive anyway. So I like quit it. And I mean, I was like super sick withdrawing from it, whatever the hopper that, they put in there, the guarana or whatever. But it like, I think that the thing is thinking about consistency and thinking about loving your body. Like, if you're fixated only, and you can tell me because I don't know, like, if you're fixated on only the food portion because you think that that's the puzzle that's missing, like the piece that like needs to be fixed and everything else is okay. Like, to me, if you don't like yourself and you aren't happy at your job and maybe your husband's kind of a dick, like none of that is going to be fixed because you're a size 2. Like, it's
100%. Yeah.
all
Yep.
going to stay the same.
Yep. Yeah. So it has,
So,
like, you have to take a holistic approach to it.
yeah. Well,
Which I
what is
think,
a
again,
holistic approach? Just getting like in touch. What do you
it's,
say to
yeah,
clients and stuff?
it's starting at, okay, what are you like fueling your body with? I just talk about energy with everybody,
Mhm.
of like, you need to feel highly energetic in the activities that you're doing every single day, and then let's pinpoint where the low energy activities are at. And so it, like, one of them being, okay, like, I just don't feel confident in my body. Okay, what are the activities that we can start to implement to get you to be more confident? And so
Yeah.
when we start, I mean, you always have to start with yourself, and then it's looking at more of, okay, if you are, let's say, like, an emotional eater,
Oh,
let's
yeah.
figure out, like, why is that? What else in your life is saying that, like, it needs, because it's emotional eating is emotional eating. Like, something is off in your body. It's not because you're physically hungry. And so it's that's why I love coaching, honestly, because women come to me and say, I just want to lose weight. And I don't feel confident in my body. And it just, like, it's so much kind of blossoms from it.
Yeah.
Um, and I think it's also too helpful to, like, be having that support, and just because you don't know what you don't know. And so
Right.
having someone that can see it in a different light, I think is really, it's, again, just because body image is so detrimental, you don't have to experience it alone, and don't feel that you're in this alone at all, because it's like every single person that I've talked to, almost 100%, like, they have some struggle with body image, man or woman or old or young. It's everybody has some experience. And so just talking with people and having that accountability and normalizing it too, I think that's how you get the holistic approach, where you ask yourself, okay, where else in my life is this affecting me?
Yeah. That's good. That's good because I think that when I think of body image and people, I find, because I don't dig as deep into the energetic portion with my coaching, but I do talk
Yeah.
about body image a lot and self shaming and that kind of stuff. But um, I find that most people, it ends up being they're like uncomfortable in their body, like they're
Yeah.
uncomfortable with some,
Yep.
and as you get older, your joints hurting or your back hurting, and so some people physically look like they're in perfect health, but their hips and their knees are shot, and they're afraid to go work, do something because they're going to blow out a knee or something,
Yeah. Yep.
so there's a variance of like all kinds of things with body image. That's what I find so interesting about it.
And I've kind of taken the perspective too of, if you do feel some sort of shame or uncomfortableness, don't hate that part that's saying it. Like, ask, okay, what is it telling me?
Hmm.
What is my, like, if I feel uncomfortable when I'm in a group of other women that are like, why is that? And getting at, like, because again, everything that you experience and everything that you feel is, like, it's helping you. And
Hmm.
so when you have shame towards your body, like, what is it about it? Like, let's get at the root cause. Don't just treat the symptom. So the symptom is just like, oh, I just need to go work out and exercise more.
Right, right.
No, let's get at, okay, what is the root cause of why you feel so, like, lacking in confidence? Or, like, your hip hurts. You wouldn't just go
Yeah.
and, like, lose what, I mean, losing weight does help that. My sister's a PT, and um but yeah, just and I think that's really encouraging, because it's like, okay, yeah, I don't love who I look like naked right now. So, but I don't have to shame myself for that. I have to figure out, why is that? And either it's, okay, let's get some healthy habits, or it's, okay, let me start to learn how to love myself as I am. So
Yeah.
it's like, you're needing to grow in some area of aspect. It doesn't have to be around like slimming up or looking a certain way. But if you do feel shame in your body, like that's your body is telling you some area needs to grow or some area needs to be given attention to.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. I think women too, like when you talk about like not feeling comfortable naked and needing like feeling shame, like I think there's like this whole part of it too. And I know you're quite a bit younger than me, but like I'm married. So like married friends, like when you start getting like that, like and then your spouse all of a sudden like your whole intimacy kind of changes there. And
Mm-hmm.
and so then you feel worse, right? But you don't want to tell your spouse like, look, I'm not doing this because I feel disgusting. So then it perpetuates this thing with your spouse feeling shame, like what's going on, what's wrong with me, like
Yep.
And it's like this whole thing, which then so then your marriage is impacted, right? So what does that do to your body? Oh, look, now you're totally stressed, like now we're not doing it, and now something's wrong with both of us and we're both stressed out. And then it affects your work because you start like thinking that you're the insecurity, it's like a domino effect, like boom, pushing it over. And then every area of your life is super stressful and you're like an insecure wreck until I call it like the rein in period. Like, okay, you're like letting this like wheel into control. Like, let's focus on things you love about yourself. Cause I know I would not say one nice thing about my body naked, even today. I mean, maybe about, I used to love my legs. So maybe about my thighs because I like played tennis and I really, they like are, I worked very hard for the muscles I have in my legs and I'm very proud of them. But like, if you ask my husband, he could name like 40 things he likes about my body. Right.
Yeah.
But I'll still sit there and repel it. Like, no.
Why is that?
I think it's just, I don't know. I feel like it's just I'm conditioned to like not like anything.
Yeah.
I think as women, we are like, you look at these magazines from the time I was little, like I'm looking at, from when I was little, you're looking at like Brooke, Cindy Crawford and Brooke Shields and, all of the great, like, Claudia Schiffer, Kate Moss, like I'm never going to look like them. I mean, cause I'm not 5'11" and I don't weigh 110 pounds and I never would, So it's just interesting because you look at the images and it's funny because I think it's getting worse because of social media. Because when I was 100%. A kid, I could choose to buy 17 or my mom could choose not to bring Vogue home, right? Like we could choose which media, which, we were bringing into our house and MTV, I could choose not to watch it. Right. But like with social media, it's all you see. And I have a 16-year-old who's on the TikTok all the time.
Yeah.
And I'm like in shock at some of the stuff. I'll be like, what, this is like on your feed? Like, no, it's just like all of this, like fake. It's fake.
There's another level. Cause with my thesis, we looked at kind of social media and there's another level too of like with social media specifically, you're looking at your feed and you're scrolling through and you see your friends and then you can scroll through and you can see an influencer or a model and then you can go directly and see yourself in comparison. And so, but before teens would, or like anybody would look at just magazines and it was just models or actresses, but now you're mixing in images of yourself, images of your friends, and then images of actresses and models. And so psychologically right now, again, I should read this study again. But it like psychologically, all those things, you're socially comparing yourself to all of those aspects where before there was a little bit more of a line division between who we interacted day to day with our friends and our relatives. But now we have where these actresses and these influencers are on the same level as our friends. And so our standard of what is normal has been normalized because I could look at a picture of my best friend and then a picture of Kendall Jenner. And I'm like, oh, like those are the equivalent when they're not, but psychologically that's what's going on. And so it's really scary. Like we don't even know right now at all the influence that social media, like it is so new in scientific studies right now. We don't even know anything just
Well,
yet,
that makes
just
sense.
because of
'Cause,
how
like,
new it is.
when I was young in high school aged, like if I wanted CDs, I had to go to like Harmony House to buy them.
Yeah.
Like if I wanted magazines, I had to go to the store, or like if I got a subscription, like I had to wait for it to come in the mail. Um, if I took pictures, we had to go get them
Yeah.
developed. You had to wait, like, there was, 1 hour photo, but like you still had to wait. And if there were more people in there, you had to wait 2 days sometimes. So like
Yeah.
you weren't able to compare every minute of every day, which is what I feel happens to girls today.
Yep.
And like I've had to go repeatedly with my daughter, like that is not real. And I'm even having to do it with my 6-year-old with these YouTuber things and these little kids and the YouTuber. And I'm like, Paisley, that is not real life. Okay. They're
Mhm.
filming as a family. Like this is a job. Like that kid is
Yeah.
working. Like you don't understand that the kid is working. I'm not going to have a challenge with you every hour of every day, but they don't get it. And then it makes them feel like they have parents who don't engage with them. Like it's very problematic. I'm going down the rabbit hole, right now, but like
Yeah.
all of it like goes together, because then her self-image, my 6-year-old, like, why don't my parents want to do challenges with me? Why don't my parents love me enough to do stuff like that?
Yeah.
I mean, it really like is starting. So I've cut YouTube for her because it was becoming such an issue. Like, I'm like, I
Yeah.
can't do this anymore. But it's harder to cut with a 16-year-old who gives chips in for her phone and chips in, like she's got
Yeah.
some ownership over it.
Up
So
with it. Yeah.
I think it's so detrimental to get a message of normal women. I love this Instagram site. It's like No Filtered Me.
Yeah.
And it's women. She brings women on who post pictures of themselves and like their bodies and like normalizing what actual bodies look like. And
Yep.
my favorite is when it's the people who appear to have like the perfect figure, oh, I'm going to post this picture in this shadow and lighting or whatever, the influencer. And then they go
Yep.
on and they show their bathroom, they show the lights that are all on, and
Yeah. It's
then
like,
they like show themselves sitting, and it's like, oh, they
yeah.
do have a little bit, I mean, not much, but still little bit of
Well,
cellulite, little bit
something.
of roll, like, it's normal. So I think that getting that message out to younger generation of women is so important, because
Mhm.
they're living up to standards that aren't even real. Even the influencers don't look like that. And to me, it's worse than airbrushing. So,
Yeah. Yeah. Again, because it's just you can like so in an instant just compare yourself. I wonder too, when you're talking about your daughter and kind of the YouTube, I wonder, because I'm all about how do we make this actionable, and I like if we do see something on YouTube or something on social media and we're admiring it and we're desiring it, I wonder if like you just have to ask, like, what do you admire about that? Like, what is it about that family that your 6-year-old is like, I want that? And so then understand, I mean, I don't
yeah,
have kids,
no,
and so I don't even know if like asking those
but
questions,
understanding, yeah,
and then like figuring out, okay, what is the value that that representation has for you, and then you fill your life with those values. So if it is like your daughter saying, oh, I just want like us to be togetherness, then it's like, okay, we don't have to look perfect when we're doing it, but just communicating to her the value of, oh, we're doing, like, we are being together right now. Or with body image, I think if we look at whoever and then we're like admiring that body type, we're like, okay, well, what is the value that's deeper than appearance, and how do I start to incorporate that in my life? Like, if it
yeah,
is beauty, okay, how do you add more beauty into your life that's not based on how you look,
yeah.
which I know is, it's so much harder to do than to talk about, but that was
Well,
just
it's
kind of the
harder for me
thought.
to do for myself even, but it's easier for me actually to be actionable with my kids, because I
Yeah.
want them to like, they see me working on stuff all the time, which to me is better than me living in denial and them perpetuating what I do with
Yeah.
myself, you know? Um, but I think like I was like thrilled. There was this one guy she follows her that's Adley, A for Adley, and like the dad is Sean Duras, who's like this huge Snapchatter thing guy. But he finally came out with a video, and I was like, thank God, where he was like, I'm taking Adley to get this. And we've gotten a lot of responses about the stuff but Adley works hard. She works like 36 hours a week and she's 4.
Yeah.
Like, so when I'm rewarding her with this, like, oh, see, my little one just came in. Okay, thank you.
All good.
But like, I was like, okay, so there's some normalization for another kid to see. Like, this is not like, she's just not getting thrown the toys and the things. Like,
Yeah.
she's working for it. And I was like, oh, thank God. Cause it like normalized their life a little bit more.
Yeah.
Which, you know, I don't know, but definitely looking at the values in it. And it's easier to pick out from a 6-year-old to me. Like, well, what is it that you really love about that? You know, like what looks so fun, or what do you think that the mom is doing or whatever.
Yeah. So, but that I would challenge everybody that has those body image concerns. And if they're on social media scrolling, like, do the hard work now so that you don't feel like this in a year or in 5 years. Like, ask yourself those deeper questions of, okay, why do I admire this? What is being thin or being beautiful going to bring me? Like, what are those qualities that I'm desiring that's deeper than, and I'll challenge people, like, deeper than just your appearance. And so getting at the root cause of it and just having that understanding, I think, is so powerful. And again, that's where it's like health and wellness is deeper than just exercising more and eating a whole foods diet, in my opinion.
Well, yeah, no, it's way deeper. And I like that because that's actionable and that's easy to sort of digest and kind of like reflect on.
Yeah. And it's not going to happen like right away. You're going to have to train yourself to think like this. Like,
absolutely.
It's a hard way to think because, again, we haven't been conditioned to think like that. And we've been conditioned to see, hey, you can do this insanity program for 90 days and you're going to get 6-pack abs. Like, that's what we're conditioned to think. If we just commit to it for 90 days, we're going to completely change our life. And no.
No. I mean, I have a friend who does that fitness modeling. She started doing that like a year ago. And first of all, I admire her, like, because she's so strong now and looks great, obviously. But I don't admire, I mean, what people don't realize is the way that she has to eat. Like, I'm like, oh, what? No, that's miserable. Like, why? The macros and the chicken and the rice at like 5 a.m. Like, I'm like, oh my gosh. Like,
oh boy.
Everything is there's trade-offs for everything we do, I guess. But focusing on the vanity aspect only gets you so far. I mean, we all fall into it. Look at the reality TV we watch on top of you got the Real Housewives, what's the newest one that I watched? The Bollywood, Fabulous Lives of the Bollywood.
Oh boy.
Lives. And then there's like bling experts or whatever it is, the bling crew or whatever. Like
my guilty pleasure is The Bachelor.
Oh God, I know. But you see these lives and like even that, like even as a 40-year-old, I'll be like, God, look at her closet. Like, look at all those purses. Like, I get like, find myself being envious about that. And then I'm like, I don't even know her. Like, she could be miserable for all I know, you know?
That's true.
It's so hard.
I feel like that's just, it's freaking hard. But I think it's like, okay, go back to like, what is having that closet? Like, for me, and again, it's still a progress, but when I see somebody that has that closet, I'm like, oh, it's because she's successful. And so I value hard work and success and being financially free. And so that's where it's like, okay, like, it's not the closet that I admire. It's her financial freedom to have that closet. And so for me, I don't know. It's just.
No, but I get that. And thus it's like the opposite where it's the husband that's successful. And then I'm like, oh, well, he got it for her.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a lot of sacrifice to be done in those types of relationships too. I'm not knocking that either, because usually those men work insane amount of hours and time, and you don't really have a partner. So you earned that closet. You're successful in your own right. But I think like I say with everything with confidence, it's like a muscle flex. Like, you can't just be confident tomorrow. You can't say like, I do a 21-day confidence challenge in it's like my freebie. It's an email challenge. You get an email a day. I really love it. It really seems to help people like get a grasp on just small little things each day they can do. But then you have to keep going. 21 days is not going to make you, so confident you're walking a runway. Like, this is just the starting point for you to make a habit, to create the habit, to flex your confidence muscle, or to flex, your image of yourself like in a different way. Like to me, it's all relative, but it all goes back to the consistency. It really does.
Consistency is everything. It's everything. So you can't take on anything that you're not going to be consistent with. Like it has to. I geek out on small little habits of just like, what can you do today and then consistently just try to keep doing it. That's going to make the biggest change in your life as long as you just stick to it.
Yeah. Well, and I like take wins, little wins. I celebrate the little wins. So if I'm upset and I go and I want to eat like a piece of like chocolate, because I don't I'm not teaching my kids to deprive themselves. Like they're eating organic. Like, I mean, I try and get like all the good stuff to nourish their bodies, but don't get me wrong. There's like Oreos up in here too. Like I'm not, I'm not gonna, so I'll go to get them and I'm like, why am I doing this? So then I put a little journal in my kitchen and now I'll write in it. Like, and to me that I celebrate it. Like if I still feel like eating the cookie later, fine, whatever, then I eat it. But if I don't, then I was able to figure out what I was trying to fill, what emotion I was dealing with. And I take it as like a little win, and celebrating little wins is important if you're trying to be consistent with habit change, because you have to celebrate the little things that you do. Don't you think?
100%. No, and that's where it's like, I feel like it's so like, I make like, you need to focus on everyday activities, and you have to like be consistent in those. Cause that's like, it's the little wins. It's the tiny things that you do every single day. So like, you can't say, oh, I'm just going to push off till tomorrow to not eat that Oreo, or I'm going to push off my workout to tomorrow. Like, no, it has to be today, because you only have today. You only have today, and today's a gift.
Perfect. Which is why I do the journal and celebrate it, because I took the time to pause. Practicing pause is not easy for me. I'm a recovering alcoholic and a recovering like disordered eating, you name it. So like pausing for me is a super win as far as I'm concerned. But like, I think it's beautiful, like, because you're not promised tomorrow, and if you stay in today, so many wonderful things can happen in just your mindset shift just by living in one day, the day that's in front of you, you know?
No, I would agree.
It's great. Well, God, Katie, Chris, I could talk to you all day. I
know.
Need you to come on and like with some more studies. I think we'll definitely have to have you come back on again and go over some more studies and things, because I can't believe I was like, well, okay, we'll do this for this long. And then boom, I'm like, here I am. I knew it's always a good conversation when body image comes into play, or like how women think. But I really, where can people find you if they're looking to maybe get some coaching or some transformation thought processes in the health arena?
No, the best way is go on social. It's at Katie Christ. And so Katie with a Y, Katy. CHRYST. I have everything there. I post a lot of free content just because I want you guys to have good content. I want there to be a good conversation out there around body image and healthy living. And then, about coaching too. I have a free session. So again, I love talking about this and just holding space for you if you feel like something is stopping you or preventing you from feeling confident or establishing healthy habits. Like, let's just hold that space for you to figure it out.
Yeah, no, that's great. We will put the link to your social at the bottom in the show notes, and anyone who wants her to hold some space for you, she's got a lot of knowledge she can drop on you and help you see things in a different light. So thank you so much for coming on, Katie. I really, really appreciate it.
Thank you so much for having me. It was a pleasure.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. And I hope wherever you are in the world that you're taking a little time to love yourself a little more today. Have a good week. Thank you for listening to the Desperately Seeking Self podcast. Did you love this episode? Then head on over to iTunes to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. It's very much appreciated. Also check out innovativecoachbrooke.com to join in on the conversation, access show notes, and discover all the awesome free content. And don't forget to join us next week for another episode. Thanks for tuning in.